Good afternoon. This is the Board of Appeals,
How to do
Town
that,
of Hempstead,
please.
January 8th, 2025, 2 o'clock meeting. Mr. Chairman, do you have any opening remarks?
Is there anyone here who has not appeared before us, so I can avoid making the speech that I have to make twice a day? So, okay. So you're all familiar with the practices and the procedures that we follow. We have a bit of unfinished business from this morning, and we'll take that case first. We have received an amended plan that actually portrays what is in existence at the property. So I'm going to ask one of the board members to make a motion on that particular case. Mr. Pellegrini?
I move that we accept the amended site plan that was submitted by Andrew Scher. It's case number 16. There's a shed that's noted on the property. It will not need any additional variances. Thank you.
Second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed, any abstentions? We do have a quorum. Thank you very much. You know the way we proceed, we call, oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Shearer, did you want to say something? Healthy New Year, Mr. Shearer. Forget the happy. You don't have to be happy, you have to be healthy, okay? All right, any requests for an adjournment? I believe there is one.
Yes, we have one, case 2225 through 2325, Seaford, Joseph Tuffarelli, variance lot area occupied, maintain metal roof over patio attached to dwelling, variance lot area occupied, maintain detached garage, also known as 3938 Howard Avenue. You don't need to be sworn.
Sorry about my voice.
It's okay.
Good afternoon. My name is Ashley Lowe from Mark Anthony Architects. Our office is located at 1563 Belmore Avenue in Belmore, New York. I am here today on behalf of our client, Joseph Tuffarelli, who is the owner and occupant of the subject property located at 3938 Howard Avenue. We are requesting an adjournment today. There was an issue with the mailing, so unfortunately it was not done correctly.
Patrick?
Mr. Chairman, March 5th at 11 a.m.
So you graduated from the afternoon calendar to the morning calendar, is that it?
Perfect.
11 a.m., March 5th, 2025.
You'll have to send out the notices correctly.
Yes, I was just going to ask.
Okay.
The mailing dates are February 6th through February 13th.
Okay. Thank you.
Happy and healthy New Year to you and Mr. Monasteri if he ever comes back from Aruba.
Fair enough.
I'm sure
Happy
he's
New Year, guys.
busy working on his tan for the rest of his life.
You guys got him last week. I don't know when you'll get him back.
That's all right. I'll see him at the end of March.
Fair enough. Have a good day, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.
Take care. All right, let's go.
Okay. First, we have case 2125, Lido Beach, Deborah and Elliot Cosgrove. Variances, lot area occupied, average front yard setback, side yard, rear yard, construct three-story dwelling with garage, decks, shed, and outdoor shower, all attached to dwelling, also known as 39 Woodhale Street.
For the applicant, Howard Avertine, 2116 Merrick Avenue, Merrick.
Joseph Gallinaro, the architect, 143 East Park Avenue, Long Beach, New York.
Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Good afternoon and Happy New Year.
Same to you and a healthy one.
This is the application of Elliot and Deborah Cosgrove for variances required in order to construct a new single-family dwelling. The premises under application is located on the easterly side of Woodhale Street, 329 feet south of Lido Boulevard in Lido Beach. It has a street address of 39 Woodhale Street and is also known as Section 60, Block 23, lots 14, 15, 113, 114, and 149 on the Nassau County Land and Tax Map. The premises has dimensions of 95 feet in width by 65 feet in depth, and a lot area of 6,175 square feet. It is developed with a two-story single-family home. In 2022, the board granted variance, sorry?
The lot size is 6,175?
Yes, sir.
Our plot plan shows 6,000 square feet. It says allowable, but it doesn't have the existing to remain, it says.
The dimensions are shown on the plot plan as 65 deep by 95 wide.
Okay,
And the
square feet.
existing, It's 6,175 square.
okay.
Yes.
It should be corrected on the site plan. Could you get that site plan for him? Applicant's Exhibit 1. We're looking for the site plan.
Right, it says right.
Site plan so that he could correct the dimension. Is that the dot on it?
Oh, I'm sorry, they need the official.
Whoops.
Got it? Got it. So it's not really a 3, it's a 2.
Shall I? You need more than one?
He,
Thank you.
Oh, you do cool, cool. Nice.
Thank you.
Correct, sir. In 2022, the board granted variances for lot area occupied, front yard average setback, side yards aggregate, and rear yard in order to construct first and second story additions with roof deck, second story deck, trellis, and outdoor shower, all attached to the dwelling. That was under case number 184 of 2022. I'd like to just submit a copy of that for the file and for the record.
We'll accept that in evidence.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Subsequently, the applicants proceeded with the project, but discovered that the cost was not significantly less than a new home would cost, and were concerned about not having a FEMA-compliant home.
Mr. Avertine, leaving aside the FEMA level, how similar was this, like, the two upper levels? How similar are those to
prior.
the old proposal that was approved?
I can let Mr. Gallinaro address that,
okay.
because he
No,
was
go
the...
ahead and do your thing.
Okay. Yeah, we'll get into all of those aspects. As a result, the applicants decided not to proceed with the previously approved plan, and instead to file an application to construct a new home pursuant to the plans which are before the board today. The variances required are for lot area occupied. The proposed lot area occupied is 50% with a maximum permitted of 27.5%. The dwelling itself accounts for 34.7%, and the remainder results from the second story and third story decks, which are 771.5 square feet each, and accessory structures, one-level accessory structures for mechanical and storage areas. I know Mrs. D'Amato stepped out, but I think she's going to want to hear, because
Tell us.
not my strong suit, Mr. Pellegrini. Should I continue, or?
Continue.
thank you for waiting. She's very familiar with this area, as
I
most
know,
of us are, but
I know. So that's why I didn't know whether you wanted me to
We
wait. So
appreciate
we'll
that.
proceed.
You're going to be deferential to Mrs. D'Amato?
I'll be deferential to anyone.
I can't imagine why you would want to do that, but that's neither here nor there.
I'll leave that alone, Mr. Chairman.
Well thought.
So, Mr. Gallinaro, please explain for the board, take the board through the design of the new home and then comparing with what was previously approved.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone.
Afternoon.
So the home that we're proposing right now, three-story FEMA constructed, FEMA compliant home, sits very similarly to what was already approved in the past. What we have now is entry, storage, garage, and an enclosed pool on the first floor with accessory sort of attached structures for shower and shed on the back side of the house. The home allows for parking up the north side of the property as well as in the front of the house. And there's a covered deck seating area on the south side of the property. As you travel up the home through the center staircase, you would land in a den where on the second floor on the north side, there are 3 bedrooms with one bedroom sort of in the back east side. This is the type of home we would call this home an upside-down home, where the bedrooms are on the second floor and the main living space is on the third floor. So on this floor, again, most of the bedrooms are on the north side, where the den and public area is on the south side, which is the preferred sunny side of the home and the property. Also, when you look at the neighborhood, the adjacent properties are also shifted north. So the amount of space each home has between each other is maximized by following suit with this home. So this home sits on the north side of the property. The house to the north of it also sits on the north side. So there's space in between homes. So we sort of positioned this home so that there would be area around for this home to be private, as well as not to affect the neighbors, which I believe we have some letters from
Yeah, I'll submit those when your
neighbors
when your testimony is completed.
as well. As you traverse up through a center circulation, meaning a center staircase and elevator going from the second to the third floor, you land in a dining room, living room, kitchen, all open space that enjoys a wraparound deck on the south and west sides. The property as well is shifted somewhat because the site is long and shallow, so we don't have a deep yard, right? So it's orientated 95 wide by 65 deep, which causes some of these variances. But the upper level deck would be beautiful for them to sit out and enjoy barbecue table, lounge seating. It's not a tremendous deck where you would have like a big party deck. A lot of the deck is about 6 to 7 feet wide, which would only allow for a couple of side-by-side seats and tables. The third story as well has the main bedroom, laundry pantry, and a small study. So the majority of the bedrooms are on the second floor, and the third floor is just the main bedroom, the main suite. This home does not have a rooftop deck. There's no interest in a rooftop deck. And
Is it a flat roof?
it is not a flat roof, and nor does it require any height variance.
Okay.
Mr. Gallinaro, would you kindly compare it to the previously approved plan?
Sure.
Okay, to you.
This is the motto, since you were out of the room, Mr. Ravatine decided to hold the balance of the presentation until you can
Sorry, it was my son's school for everyone's edification. He's sick, and the counselors want to see him because apparently he doesn't do his homework. So,
Sounds like me.
he'll love me for that.
join the
But,
club, Mr.
I'm
Ravatine.
sorry. Oh, you mean you had no testimony?
No,
Oh, I'm
no,
sorry.
we had Mr. Gallinaro's testimony.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Ravatine declined to testify in your absence.
So we're about to describe some of the differences between the previously approved application in 2022 to the current one. The footprint of the new home is a different geometry, but very similar in square footage. The vast majority of the additional requested square footage has to do with a proposed wraparound deck and also a single-story mechanical platform in the back portion of the home. Underneath, we're trying to create storage underneath FEMA-compliant height for AC condensers, which wouldn't normally account for lot coverage, but we are telling the town that the interest is to enclose underneath it and make it a shed. There's no interior access to these spaces.
But isn't the wraparound deck on the highest level?
The second and third floor.
That's all lot area occupied? Even if it's higher?
Yeah.
Because I was surprised it was 50% coverage, given you have over a 6,000 square foot lot. The prior residence, what was the coverage, if you know?
It was 40%.
Yeah.
And that deck is 10% more?
Yeah,
I mean, I know you didn't say all of it is, but,
the proposed deck is 737 square feet, where originally it was 487, so it's about 300 square feet, so it would take it down
300
to
square
about.
feet of, what's the lot
In
size?
terms of percentage.
6,175.
And what's the deck, the increase in deck is 300
Correct, 5%,
5%.
additional 5% of lot coverage. right?
divided by, exactly 5%. So 5 bedrooms, 5 baths plus the powder room, right? Oh no, there was I think there's another
Storage
extra
and
bath.
closed pool on the first floor.
5 bedrooms with baths, but I think there's 2 ancillary. Yeah, so there's 5 bedrooms with baths and 2 powder rooms, right? 2 powder rooms, 1 on each floor, and then 5 bedrooms with their baths.
Correct.
It's a FEMA 3.
Yeah, and Mr. Everton, I know you always know, but I just heard
That's
one of our board members talking about 3-story. Just for clarification purposes, because the nomenclature has changed a bit over time after Sandy, I know you know. So even though this is cited as a 3-story, it's a 2
FEMA
stories of living
compliant.
space with the FEMA first.
That is correct, absolutely. Obviously, a third story under normal circumstances would require a different variance for that, but in the flood zones, under the post-Sandy amendments to the building zone ordinance, a third story is permitted, provided it's a FEMA-compliant home.
So
So
it's
it's 2
in effect
stories of living, it's a
2 stories of
2-story
living
house,
space.
correct. 2 stories of living space, first story being limited to garage and storage and access to the home. I'd like to, at this time also, I have signed consents from 2 of the neighbors, one of them at 59 Woodhale, which is directly to the south, and another from 42 Woodhale, which is directly opposite the property to its west. If I could hand those in.
Accept those and evidence.
And I have, per my client, the owner of the property directly to the north at 27 Woodhale also has no objection, and my client advises that he was in contact with that property owner who acknowledged that he has no opposition. I also would like to submit photos of the home at 27 Woodhale, which is a post-Sandy home, and it's roughly the same footprint as what we are proposing.
So, in comparison from what was previously approved to what we're proposing now, the previous application had a north side yard of 7.7 feet, and we are now at 9 feet, so we're a little bit further away. The house on the east side was 11.3 feet from the eastern property line. We're at the same distance, except we have these ground floor protrusions for the mechanical platform. So on the north side, originally, correct, it's 11.3 to the house in both cases. However, there is a mechanical platform that we're enclosing underneath. That's where we're getting the 4-foot rear yard setback from. So to the house, it's the same, but a single-story mechanical platform is pushing closer to the rear yard.
And it also, this proposed home has some, what I would like to describe as benefits for the surrounding area. The swimming pool, which would... Now, if people would like, sure. But the swimming pool is inside. So normally a swimming pool would not count toward lot coverage if it were outside, but since it's inside, it's part of the building, and therefore, understood. But also the sound emanation from a swimming pool would be minimized by being inside as opposed to outside.
And the pool equipment's inside, a little housing.
Correct. Correct.
Nice try.
On the south side, it was, the previous application was 16.9 feet to the southern property line to the deck. We have 15 feet.
27 Woodhead.
The
right
house
here.
itself is
Yeah.
27.9
Directly to the
to the
north.
house for the, correct. So originally, the deck was 16.9 and proposed is 15. The house on the original application, to the house, not to the deck, was 27.9. And the house is 24, or 23.9 in the proposed. It was 40%. We're almost there. We have one more. In the front, in the front is where you'll find, we built closer to the front property line with the deck. So it's, the house itself was, on the original application, the house was 16.1. The house is now 15.5. And the deck was 15.6. In the original, the proposed now is 9.5. No, it's, so 10% is 600 square feet. We have almost 200 square feet of additional mechanical work in the back. And then it's a small increase on deck. That's really, yeah. In the original proposal, we didn't have any mechanical space accounted for. It was a non-substantial renovation. There was existing units that were in place, and they didn't count for anything. Now we have elevated units out of the flood zone, and we're telling the town we're enclosing underneath that, or they'd like to. Put a cabana, storage for bicycles, whatever, beach stuff in the back. So it's all adding up, but it's small increments on that part.
Yeah, I guess, I'm not an architect, so all these improved setbacks, it's hard to imagine how you went from 40 coverage to 50 coverage with improved setbacks for the most.
The house itself too, so if you imagine, like the original, the proposal in the past was working off an existing footprint that was sort of two rectangles adjacent to each other. Now we're dealing with one sort of larger rectangle. So when it used to be, let's say,
I have photos of the existing house, if the board, if that
There's
would
no
be helpful.
reasonable relationship.
They're both the same, so there's two of them. That's the subject. Maybe. What? Surely.
I know, I had to go get it.
Okay, Stephanie, we're going to let the record reflect that council answered a number of the questions, clarifying the difference between the existing structure, please, the existing structure, the structure that we approved previously with the changes, and the current structure. And there are a couple of numbers that a number of the board members felt would be helpful. So what we're going to do is put this case aside for a moment. We're not going to adjourn it or anything, and let the architect make a few calculations. Patrick will call the next case, and then Mr. Albertine, as soon as you're ready, let Mr. Albertine know. We'll come back and finish up with you guys, okay?
We'll be calling case 2425 through 2625 Belmore, Michael and Maria Vogelsang, trustees of the Michael and Maria Vogelsang Trust. Variances, side yards aggregate, construct a second floor addition to dwelling with side yard variance for 2 proposed AC units attached to dwelling, variance, lot area occupied, maintain deck attached to dwelling and surrounding pool, special exception to convert detached garage to home gym and storage, second accessory structure, higher and larger than permitted and exceeding horizontal maximum on all sides, also known as 2065 Bergen Street. Please swear or affirm, tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. Take a seat, state your name and address for the record.
Maria Vogelsang, 2065 Broken Street, Belmont.
Can you speak up, slow into the mic, because it's much harder to hear up here than...
2065 Bergen Street, Belmont, New York.
We don't have enough, there's a chair there. Can someone take the, whose jacket is that? You mind, Stephanie? Oh, wait, hold on, Stephanie. Perfect.
Michael Vogelsang, 2065 Bergen Street, Belmore, New York.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon. Gregory Mindel, 84 Bunker Hill Road, Salisbury, Connecticut, 06068. Appearing for the owners, Michael and Maria Vogelsang, who are seated to my left. Good afternoon.
Go ahead.
We're here today requesting permission to construct a second-story addition having less than required side yard and side yards aggregate, along with 2 AC units attached to the dwelling. That is the first part of our case. The proposed second-story addition would be constructed flush on the north side of the dwelling, maintaining the existing 2.9-foot side yard. We'd be required to maintain in a residential B zone a 5-foot side yard, so we're requesting a reduction of 2.1 feet.
Mr. Mindel, the existing 2.9,
Yes, sir.
is that how the house was built, and is there a CO for that house?
Yes, sir. I'll submit to you an aerial photograph in which you can see the character of the neighborhood. This is a very common condition on this particular side of the street, of Bergen Street. Many of the neighboring homes maintain the identical side yard setback. I'll submit that to the board. You can see the home is clearly indicated. Additionally, I'll submit to the board a copy of a variance for that neighboring home located to the south of them, in which they appeared before this board in 1994 for the identical type side yard variance. for less than 5 foot, and I'll submit that to the board. The neighboring home maintains 2.3 feet to the same side yard, and that was for a second-story addition, similar to what we're requesting before this board today.
So is this an older home that has a non-conforming status?
These
Is that
are
your
all
point?
older homes. Some of them are non-conforming. Some do have permits from back in the 40s and 50s.
Is this house a non-conforming house? And
No,
have-
this one is not.
It's not.
1991. There's a certificate search that you should have. And that's 1991-261 for the non-conforming one-family dwelling. And this is for long-awaited master bedroom suite. The owners have owned this house since 1985. This has been in the making for well over a decade. They've been trying to propose this type of addition, and now is the time. It's a typical second-story addition. We're not reducing the setbacks any further than what is currently there.
So the whole second floor addition is entirely within the footprint,
It's flush with the sides of the home.
but it's all within the footprint?
Yes.
I'm sorry. I tell you guys and then I don't.
The proposed AC unit is located for these additions, set in to where the house steps back, and the proposed AC units will maintain a 2.3-foot side yard setback on that north side. The neighbor most affected, this is their driveway area. So most of these homes are located tight to the neighbor's driveway, and you can see that in the aerial photograph that I submitted. It's not possible to locate the AC unit back further to comply with the 5-foot requirement for the AC units, because then it would have to be located another 25 feet back, and that would be too far for these units to operate efficiently. And again, it's adjacent of a driveway. It's well screened, these proposed AC units, by a 6-foot-high PVC fence, so the neighbor cannot even see these units.
Mr. Mindell,
Yes.
I'm looking at this in the garage back there, and let me just be clear. So, pardon my cough, I've had it for 9 months. It's very irritating. So, convert detached garage to home gym and storage, right? Second accessory structure.
I was going to get to that.
But I just want to ask you, it makes perfect sense to do that. Like, I could see doing that. If I had a structure in the back, doesn't even look like you could access it with a car anyway. So it makes, thank you, perfect sense to convert it to a garage, or to a gym and storage. But I wouldn't think to apply for a permit to do that. I'd be like, so what? I'm putting some gym equipment in my in my garage. I don't use it for a car anyway. What was the rationale besides it's the right thing to do for even, I wouldn't know I had to ask permission if I didn't sit on this board.
I notified the architect of record that it was the right thing to do. I have to come before this board with a complete case that is 100% accurate at all times. And as the board may remember, I've been before this board with similar cases previously. I came before this board for a case in Levittown that is one of the best cases that makes me very happy. It was for a sensory room for a disabled child.
Oh, yeah.
And that room was approved probably about 3 or 4 years ago. And that room is an incredible use that is used to this day for those purposes. I was here last year for a detached shed in Levittown, where the homeowner had gymnasium equipment in that shed, and that case was approved. That was on Jerusalem Avenue in Levittown. I'll submit to you photographs of the interior of the detached garage. You can see that the owner has treadmill, free weights, all kinds of gym equipment. He cannot use these in his basement because the ceiling height is too low.
And you can't get a car back there
This is what I
anyway.
would call the COVID gymnasium, because COVID happened, and they couldn't go to the gym, and they wanted to exercise, and they wanted to be outside. So they converted this garage for that use, and as you stated, it's not very accessible for a car in its location.
Right.
So it's a perfect use. There's no plumbing in there. There's
That
no
was- you knew
bathroom.
our next question.
There's no second kitchen.
Wait.
There's no sink.
No plumbing, obviously it has electrical for light.
Yes.
Taking evidence.
Does it
There
have
is a
heat?
mini split for heat and AC in that room, but there is no plumbing whatsoever. Now, interestingly enough, the property to the south actually has 2 one-family dwellings. So when you look at that aerial photograph.
That's
you
the
could-
Dora Becker?
You could, yes, the house to the south, you can see there's a building in the back that appears like a garage, but that's actually a second one-family dwelling that was before this board in 1971. And both were approved. It was a maintained dwelling at the front with the 2.3-foot side yard, and there was an existing dwelling at the rear of the property. So they actually abut a property with 2 single-family dwellings.
So next year, that's what you're coming in for, to make it,
Never, never. That's not the intention. And that's why I try to come before the board with a complete case, because when the building
Thank
inspector
you.
goes there and he sees a French door where there should have been a garage door, he's going to question what's in there. And I would not do that.
Oh,
Thank you,
there's-
Mr.
There's been
Michael.
a change in the tenor of the board since 1970.
I understand. But there is no plumbing in there.
Understood.
and you would accept a condition that no
That
plumbing
no
be added?
plumbing,
Absolutely.
okay.
The last part of our case, which is the second part, is a maintained deck that surrounds the above-ground pool. The above-ground pool was installed a few years back. The deck is approximately 562 square feet. The property will maintain 34.05% lot coverage.
Hold on,
So
say
when
that
you
again,
Say it again, please.
35.05?
Yes.
I'm trying to listen.
So a deck less than 3 feet high can maintain 30% lot coverage maximum. So we exceed by 4.05% or 240 square feet. And again, there are large arborvitae-type trees located to the north, which is the neighbor's driveway, which will screen this deck and proposed addition from the neighbor to the north. And there's also a 6-foot-high PVC fence that also screens that neighbor from all this. And you can see that in the photograph that I submitted to the board.
Mr. Mindel, similar to the house that the board granted with the 2 dwellings on 1 parcel, your, the submission of the plot plan indicates 1-story frame dwelling, crosshatched, and then behind that, it shows 2-story frame dwelling.
That
Is
was
it-
a rear addition on the home that is 2 stories, which has 3 bedrooms in it.
Why do we call it 2 dwellings?
Because it's a single-family dwelling, there's only 1 kitchen. There's always only been 1 kitchen.
I think he means, it looks like
in
there's
the
2
rear.
buildings attached to each other, and one says single-story frame dwelling, and one says 2-story frame dwelling, but they're all the same
They're all
dwelling.
part
all
of the
the same
same
dwelling.
dwelling.
Can you connect dwelling A to dwelling B? Is there opening?
An opening could be created.
It's not.
It could be created, but it's a master bedroom suite. So
It-
They must have a door.
So
in
how do
the
you
dwelling.
access it?
No.
you can see the floor plan that we submitted.
You can't walk inside the house?
To
There's
get
2
into it?
staircases currently in this dwelling.
Interior,
That's the question.
Interior.
Oh,
interior
absolutely.
staircases.
That's what I thought, but you started,
And
So
Yes, Joseph?
if I'm in the dwelling in the front near Bergen Street,
How do I get in the back?
can I get into that, what you labeled as two-story frame dwelling? Can I get into that without?
Going outside?
Yeah,
Yes, of course.
and-
You go through the kitchen, and there's an eat-in kitchen area, and you're gonna be able to enter into what is the great room at the rear. You can see that on the existing floor plan, which is page 2 of 5.
Mr. Mindell, on the north side, so I'm looking at the fencing. So there's a 4-foot PVC fence on the south side, picket. And then on the north side, it says looks like it says 4-inch timber curb and 4-foot PVC. Is that right?
It says 6-foot PVC fence. If you look just above the deck area, and there's a timber curb on the property line.
Wait, no, I'm on the front of the house. I'm just dealing with forward of the dwelling.
Yeah, there's a 4-foot, yes, PVC fence at the front, yes.
And what, it's on top of a 4-foot timber curb, or is the timber curb running along
It's-
Bergen Street?
You can see it on the survey, it's next to
I
it.
don't have it.
It's on the site plan as well, on the drawing, you can see that
No, I'm
it's actually
looking at it
next
on
to
the site plan, and it looks like it's noting 4-inch timber curb.
The timber curb is actually over the property line on the neighbor's side.
Okay, I'm
That's-
just trying to understand, is that something that runs along the property line on Bergen, or only on the neighbor's property line along Bergen?
It's only at the front area. It does not run alongside the dwelling. There's additional 6-foot high PVC fence that comes off the rear corner of the dwelling
Where's the house?
at the northeast side corner.
Wait, so the one I'm looking at, there's a 6-foot PVC fence that appears to run about to the middle of the two houses. It's not exactly marked.
One house,
I'm talking on the north side.
yes,
So 6 foot's in the backyard, it goes toward the house.
yes.
Somewhere along the house, it changes to a 4-foot, right?
There's nothing alongside the house. It comes off at an angle. There's a 4-foot high PVC fence. Can I approach?
Yeah, would
Yeah,
you?
do that.
So I see it's 6 foot here.
This is where it comes off and it goes.
Right, so this is the
Yes.
4-foot
There's
PVC.
nothing here.
Oh, okay, so I
Which house is this?
Which
I can't.
So this is my client's house. This is the house that had the 1984 variance for the side yard, right here.
Got it.
wait, Mr. Mike. So 6 foot goes somewhere along here. And
all the way to here,
here's
to
my
the corner.
4-foot,
Yes,
4-foot.
correct.
Here I have 6 foot.
5 foot.
No, I'm sorry, blue is 5 foot. You see my color code.
Yes.
So somewhere in here, it switches to the 6. And I don't really care about the 6, you know that. So forward the dwelling, here's 4.
4 foot, yes.
And this is PVC, this is PVC picket.
Picket,
Is
yes.
this also picket?
Picket.
Okay. And is it on top of this 4-foot?
No, it's next to it. See how the fence is indicated on the line, and the timber curb is over the line.
I can't see that. So is that your client's timber, or is it the neighbor's?
It's probably both.
Okay. But anyway, so if we were to approve the fencing, my reason for asking is.
The fencing isn't before.
Okay, but the reason that I want to know is that if it, we always want to know the exact numbers, because if we have a 4-foot fence, and we say 4, and the guy goes out, and I always feel like doing the right thing so that you don't have stupid administrative shit.
Which is why the question about this is a good one. I would
Yeah,
not-
I mean, I would have done it too.
This back dwelling has a permit, this addition?
It's not a dwelling.
I
Yes,
know.
the addition.
It was a dwelling at one point. Look at the way it's built.
No, it was a separate addition.
Okay.
So do you have a permit for this fencing? They have a
Yes,
permit?
yes.
Stephanie, let the record reflect that the representative for the applicants clarified for the board the various transitions of the fencing from the 6-foot in rear on one side, 5 on the other, down to the 4-foot forward of the house, which is on both sides picket, PVC, and both sides are already the subject of a permit that didn't require action from this board. Is that correct, Mr. Mindell?
Yes. Additionally, I might like to add that the existing garage, 18 by 30 detached garage, was building permit 9903042. Because we changed the use, we're here for higher and larger than permitted. So the garage is 18.2 feet by 30.2 feet, maintaining a 7.7-foot rear yard and a 5.1-foot compliant north side yard.
Doesn't it need height also? Yeah. So under its new characterization, allowable is 12-foot average, I think, right?
Yes.
And what is the height?
I do not know the exact height, but I would like to reference the 99 building
The
permit
permit.
for that.
It's here.
Oh, wait, we have a number?
Yeah, 99.
No, I mean a height number. Because when the
Well, that's
inspectors
DP.
come out, they need the height. Christine, can you get a height off that prior permit? Because if we approve the height,
Nothing structurally to the outside size and shape of the garage is changing.
It's noted that you also have 4 open building permits. I would assume that they will be closed out.
Everything will be closed out, yes.
Got it.
Those are all newer building permits that we obtained to come before this board.
We have
like we can get the number. Because if we're inclined to approve it, we need to put the number into the decision. So when they measure.
Any other questions from the board? If not, do I have a motion?
I would just move, Mr. Chairman, that the hearing be closed, the matter be placed on the decision calendar. Mr. Mindell, you and your clients, anyone else who's signed in on the case, will receive a copy of the board's decision by mail once it's ready.
you.
Thank you.
Second.
Have a nice day.
Have a great
Happy
day
New
and
Year.
Happy New Year.
Second.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Patrick?
Mr. Chairman, we're going to recall case 2125, Lido Beach, Deborah and Elliot Cosgrove,
Thank you.
also known as 39 Woodhale Street.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
You're still under oath.
Yes, sir.
You understand.
Our calculations are that the proposed home, the portion of the lot coverage attributable to the home itself, is 34.7%. And that's based upon 2,147 square feet. The
Deck.
portion of the lot coverage produced by the second and third floor decks, which are identical and account for the same lot coverage, they are 768 square feet, and that's 12.3%. and the rear one-story attached shed, shower, and storage addition is 179 square feet, or 3%, and that totals 50%. But the one-story shed in the rear, we would respectfully submit, has minimal impact to any surrounding property and is included solely for storage items, a shower, and to elevate the mechanical to comply with FEMA. And as indicated also, as long as there is no there is no enclosure whatsoever of either of the second or third story decks, that they would have less of an impact certainly than the building itself.
So your client would accept a condition that, so given that it's really, the main structure is 34.7, your client would accept a condition that they would not build first or second or third story above the mechanical room, and would not seek to enclose either one of the second or third story decks.
That is correct.
Leaving us really with the three-story building only covering 34.7%.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
FEMA 3. Any other questions from the board? Not, do I have a motion?
Move that the hearing be closed, the matter be placed on the decision calendar. Mr. Avertine, you and your architect and anyone else who signed in on the case will receive a copy of the board's decision by mail once it's ready.
Thank you so much.
Happy New Year, thank you.
Same to you all.
Healthy.
All in favor? Any opposed?
Next, we'll be calling cases 2725 through 2825 Franklin Square, Darius Zyke. Variances, side yards aggregate, construct second floor addition attached dwelling. Variance, side yard, maintain one AC unit attached dwelling, also known as 942 Van Buren Avenue. Please stand. You swear or affirm to tell the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God? Yes. Please take a seat, state your name and address for the record.
Ken Schulman, 209 Lynn Avenue, East Northport. Good afternoon. We are proposing a second floor addition that will not have the minimum side yard requirement or aggregate side yard requirement. The second floor addition will be built over the footprint of the existing first floor, and it will maintain its non-conforming minimum side yard of 3 foot 10 inches, where 5 feet is the minimum required. It will also maintain the existing non-conforming aggregate side yard of 14 foot 9 inches, where 15 feet is the required aggregate side yard. We are also seeking to maintain an existing AC unit which maintains a side yard setback of 2.3 feet, where 5 feet is the required minimum side yard. The AC unit is well screened from the adjoining neighbor by a 4-foot-high PVC fence, and there are foundation plantings in the front of the house that screens its view from the street. It is also a ductless unit, which is very quiet and therefore wouldn't have any adverse effects on the adjoining property. I believe these variances are minor in nature, and the granting of the relief would have no adverse impacts to the surrounding properties and would still be in keeping with the character of the neighborhood.
And again, the second story addition is solely within the footprint of the existing first floor.
Correct. No.
Move the hearing be closed, the matter be placed on the decision calendar. Mr. Schulman, you'll be notified by mail of the board's decision once it's rendered. Happy, healthy New Year.
I'll be back in favor.
Next, we have cases 2925 through 3025 East Atlantic Beach, Roslyn Center. Maintained dwelling on a substandard lot with lot area occupied, side yard and rear yard variances, and with more than required front and side yard encroachments. Maintained 4-foot-high masonry wall and gate in the front yard, which may substantially obstruct line of sight, also known as 28 Malone Avenue.
Good afternoon, members of the board. My name is Dean Kutsubis. My address is 121 Newbridge Road, Hicksville, New York, 11801.
Roslyn Center, 28 Malone Avenue, East Atlantic Beach, New York, 11561.
Okay, good afternoon, members of the board. I'm here with Mrs. Center. She's the owner of the house located at 28 Malone Avenue in East Atlantic Beach. This is a bit of a unique situation. Her parents purchased the house in 1952, so this house has been in the family since 1952. The house and apartment all existed at the time as is today. On a property that's 45 by 60. This house, when we did the search, had 0 permits. There was no permits ever on file. We attempted to get a non-conforming status for the house, and it turns out that the building department could not grant us a non-conforming permit for this house.
Why not?
Okay, so there was not enough proof that it was built prior to 1930. The age letter says it was an undetermined age in 1938, and I was able to find the original deed for the house when the builder sold it to the first owner, not her parents. The first owner purchased the house on June 25th of 1931. This means that the construction could have started before 1930. However, there was not enough evidence to consider this a non-conforming dwelling based on.
Mr. Kutsubis, when that application for non-conforming was made, did you guys submit those property cards that we usually see?
Okay, we did not submit, we had meetings with the building department pre-submitting this, so we knew before I filed any permits with the building department, we had meetings with the plan examiners, who instructed us that this is the route that had to be taken, because they couldn't, I went in before I filed any permits with the age letter, with the tax cards, and was instructed by Mr. Camerato, who's our plan examiner. He instructed us that we had to file a permit to maintain the house just the way it is.
Are there any of those cards that we can look at? They said there's not enough evidence to show that it was built before them, but usually those cards give us something. Do we have any of those?
No, they are uploaded to the portal.
Okay.
What was the,
And I
Go ahead.
can
What was the
get them
earliest?
if needed.
just a minute.
Yes, I have the deed when Mrs. Center's parents purchased the house. I also have the original deed I would like to submit it. No, it's just a photo of the page in the, yeah. So that's the that's when the builder sold it to the first homeowner. I also have an age letter, but I believe that's already in the system.
Mr. Katsubis, so I understand from our resident expert, Becky, that it looks like your client missed it by 6 months or something on the non-conforming. And there were a few other steps that could have been taken, which I cannot describe, but had those been taken, it's likely that you would not need to be here right now for maintain a dwelling on a substandard lot with lot area occupied. So you're still here for them, but those you probably could have gotten another way, sort of as of right. So we'll still consider those because you still do need those granted if we're inclined to do so. But those are things that most likely you would have been entitled to given the age of the home, which I understand is like 1931 likely, and 1930 you would have gotten the non-conforming.
Correct. I'd also like to, we're asking for variances on the lot size, we're asking for variances on setback. I just want to emphasize that there is the way the house, any description of the house, it does not appear that there has been any additions to the house. The tax card matches this current survey. The house was never expanded. This is the way it was. I also want to submit, Mrs. Center had given me real estate documents from when her parents purchased the house in 1952, which describes the first floor and the second floor, and clearly states that there was 2 living units at the time. Now, going to the living units, I'd like to just mention that we did apply for a senior residence permit on this house. However, the building department will not approve the senior residence permit until we get a permit or variance to legalize the house as a whole. And then once that's approved, then we can move forward with the senior residence permit. The senior residence permit may also there's a possibility that it may also need a variance. Typically, they're as of right, but this may need a variance for one reason or other. And we may be back at a later date for the senior residence should this first application be approved. I'd also.
Go ahead, Mr.
Yeah, we also have another permit here. This permit is for a 4-foot high, 4-foot tall masonry fence and gate, which is located at the front property line. This needs a variance for being forward, for being forward of the dwelling. It is solid. It's a masonry, concrete wall. This wall has been here for a long time. Mrs. Smith did bring some pictures, at least since the 1960s, which show this wall.
Mrs. Center, you look like you're very anxious, and the hearing is going very well. I would assure you that.
Yeah, it's good to find out that, but for some sort of administrative issues, the most substantial variances you need, you're likely entitled to. So we're just addressing the rest of them.
Okay, so we have this wall from driving around the area. There are similar walls.
Yes.
In these areas. It's a 4-foot tall wall with a gate, provides access to the yard. That being said, I don't feel that any of these variances are substantial. To my understanding, a neighbor did write in a letter of support to Mrs. Center. Explained to me that the neighbor was actually supposed to come in support, but due to the
It's okay,
cold
we
weather,
have it,
yeah,
it's in the
she
file.
wasn't able to come. But it was good to hear that a neighbor was able to do that. That concludes my presentation. If there's any questions for myself or Mrs. Center, gladly answer.
Any questions from the board? Any additional questions from the board? Any comments?
No,
Any grunts?
no.
Not, do I have a motion?
Move the hearing be closed, the matter be placed on the decision calendar. Mr. Katsubis, you and your client will be notified by mail of the board's decision once it's rendered. Happy, healthy New Year. Have a safe home.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Mrs. Senta, did you want to say something, or?
She didn't. She
She can't.
can't hear you.
What?
Joe.
Next, we have case 3125, Wantaw, Laura Chu and Todd Summers, variances, lot area occupied, front yard average setback, side yards aggregate, maintained terrace conversion to living space, foyer, attached to dwelling which is lower than 2 feet above base flood elevation, also known as 2419 Riverside Drive.
Ken Shulman, 209 Lynn Avenue, East Northport. We are seeking to maintain a front terrace that was converted to a foyer. It requires variances for lot coverage, average front yard setback, minimum and aggregate side yard setback. To give a little brief history of the property, the original house was built before 1938 and was granted a non-conforming status in 2008. Also in 2008, variances were granted under case number 424-08 to maintain existing front and rear decks. Those variances granted were also for lot coverage, average front yard setback, and side yard setbacks. At the time that variance was granted, the front terrace was already converted to the foyer area. Since one of the conditions of the non-conforming grant was to obtain a building permit for the conversion, it should have been part of the previous variance, but it appears there was an oversight and it was omitted from that application. The property has recently changed ownership, and in order to complete the sale, a CO is now being required.
Hold it.
Please go.
Face is red.
So the property recently changed hands, and we needed to obtain a CO in order to complete that sale. Even though the conversion existed at the time of the last variance, we were actually asking for less relief than was previously granted. The front deck was granted a front setback of 7.8 feet, and the terrace conversion has a front setback of 16.1 feet. The lot coverage previously granted was 50%. Since part of the rear deck has been removed, we are now requesting a lot coverage of 45.2%. The relief for the side yard of 4.4 and aggregate of 10.2 are the same as were previously granted. Lastly, there is an issue that the foyer is 9 inches below the required flood elevation. I have already filed a variance with New York State, and I'm waiting for them to process it. So in conclusion, I believe that since the terrace was already converted to living space at the time of the last variance in 2008, and there have been no complaints from the adjoining properties since that time, the variance request is not substantial.
As it relates to this part of the request, that is to maintain this foyer converted to living space that is less than 2 feet above the BFE, which is to say, doesn't meet the DFE requirement. As the state, that's obviously a state requirement. Have you, as your client, or you filed for a variance from the state requirement?
Yes, I got some initial feedback on the application. I resubmitted some revisions, and now I'm waiting for another
Feedback. And did you provide, do we have in our file the application to the state?
A copy of it? No, I don't believe so.
Could we get
Would you
that?
like to?
Yes.
Because I think, given that it's really the state requirement that we're talking about deviating from, I feel, at least for me personally, the state having opined on that, or determined whether or not it would be willing to grant that, for me at least, it would carry a fair amount
Do you want just the application itself or all the accompanying documents?
I'd say whatever you
Everything.
have. Do you have any indication about when you might get a final determination from the state?
No, I believe the plans examiner was looking for an actual hearing, but I don't know if the state is going to require an actual hearing or they'll consider it a lesser application.
The town plans examiner?
Yes, and when he, there's a questionnaire that he has to fill out that accompanies the application, and in that I believe he thought it should have a hearing.
Who was the plans examiner?
Vince Albert.
And was he following up to see about, did you have any idea if they're gonna give you a hearing?
I don't know if they'll actually think a hearing is required. They might consider it a simple application and just grant it without the actual hearing. Vinny did message me in the portal about an hour or two ago, just checking on the status, and I told him I was waiting for feedback still.
I mean, we'll deliberate, but I'm sort of inclined to wonder if we ought not hold it on reserve until we hear from.
That's what I
To
think.
maintain, so, and it was just a terrace, or was that a concrete patio?
Best I can tell is a house across the street that looks like it was similar to this, and it was just a terrace with a railing, and at some point it was enclosed. Yeah.
All right, well, maybe Christine, can you follow up maybe and figure out what we can get? Because I feel like knowing what the state has to say will have a significant bearing on.
That's what I figured.
Oh. What'd you come for?
Say again? It's only freeboard.
Yes, it's 9 inches.
Right.
At elevation 8.3 where 9 is required.
But I feel like what effect would, let's say, for example, we granted, it's not really relevant if the state doesn't grant.
Correct.
You know what I'm saying? So I just feel like, given that there's no harm to you, right,
No.
it's a maintain. So if it's 6 months from now, so I'm thinking if you could provide us with what's been filed and communicated.
Sure.
I mean, we'll deliberate, but I feel like maybe we put it on reserve. You keep us up to date
Sure.
until you can, I'm assuming you feel confident you're gonna get it. So then maybe at that point, we could finalize it here.
Should
As
I,
long as we don't have any other issues with it.
should I
which would-
upload that to the portal or just to the zoning board? Okay,
No, it counts.
that's fine.
All right, I have no further questions.
Any other questions from the board? Sure.
Excuse me, so you came before the board for a variance on this terrace years ago?
No, that was not me, that was another
It's not
architect.
meeting your client.
No, it was a previous owner.
Okay, so, they granted the variance, and then you enclosed the terrace? Or
No, everything that stands on the house now was there back in
There.
2008, and the non-conforming grant actually listed all the things that needed to be addressed, and somehow that was just overlooked
So you're saying this is a clerical error?
on someone's part.
Because, it just seems
Yeah.
that you came for a variance
I-
for a terrace, and now it's enclosed.
I do have a copy of the plan that was filed at the time and the site plan that shows, they labeled it as a storage room and not a foyer. The plans examiner now wanted me to refer to it as a foyer and not storage, but I can submit those or upload it to,
Yeah,
email it to you.
I'd
that
like,
show-
I'd like to see him
Sure,
if it's okay.
I'll send that as well.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was actually going to be it's part of my application to the state as well. Unfortunately, I don't have photos going back from the 2008. Might be in your records of the previous variance possibly. You might have the photos of the exterior back then. I don't have access to that. Yeah, I have the decision as well, but it's not very specific. Sure. Would I need to come back at any point, or once you get my state variance decision? Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? If not, make a motion, please.
Move that the hearing be closed, the matter be placed on the decision calendar. Mr. Schulman, you'll be notified by mail of the board's decision once it's rendered.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
This one has some meat. This one has some meat, because he's asking for 3 stories. Yes. You need a few minutes? Okay. We're going to take a 5-minute recess to enable the court reporter to flex her fingers and get some blood in her hands. Okay? We'll be back in 10 minutes. How many minutes? No, 10 minutes. No, no. Pardon? Pardon? It's good. Have 8 minutes left.
really low chairs. I feel like I need a telephone book. Sure. You want to hire me?
The existing house, what are they gonna do, sell it off?
No, they're staying there. They're locals. They've been there their whole lives. She grew up right on Freeport Avenue, Mrs. Berger. The street. How was it? She grew up right on Freeport Avenue. Where do you live?
I'm right across the street.
On Bayside?
The address is for Belmore, but it's the lots run through the cedars.
Okay. Well, wait, just so you know, we're creating lots that are bigger than a lot of lots in the neighborhood.
I've been down that road, I know that.
Yeah, and a lot of the lots were created by this board. This one, you know, they're,
Yeah, there's a few.
yeah,
There's no doubt about it.
yeah. So we're not changing the nature and character of the neighborhood.
Yes or no, because if everybody comes in and starts subdividing lots.
But the board has already created lot areas.
Right, they have.
Yeah, so, well, so when do you say we got ours,
See,
but
I
you
own-
can't have
I own
yours?
4 lots across the street.
Okay,
I can't subdivide.
why?
I mean,
But I'm not saying that you could or you can't, but I wouldn't, you know, there's a lot of 35 by 60s. We're creating something twice the size of that.
well, not twice.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's just that it's becoming more and more congested. If they were gonna take the house down, if they're gonna live there, why don't they just take the house down?
I guess it's their decision how they want to live their life.
Well, that's it.
Right, no, they're not living in the new house. They're going to either sell it to a family member, they're staying in their house.
It is what it is. I can't change it.
Well, if you have any questions that I can answer, I'm happy to do so.
So we're taking down the garage, from what I understand,
Yes, we are.
and it moved a lot over.
No, the lots are,
Well,
they're dividing.
right.
Yeah, so one is going to be 39, the other is going to be 41.
But there is a code in town of Hempstead that says no solar.
Right, and there's a Board of Appeals that provides relief from the application of that rule. That's why New York State law says if you have zoning, you have to have a zoning board of appeals.
I got any other questions?
Please let me know. Thank you.
Patrick?
Next, we have cases 3225 through 3325, Point Lookout, Edward and Elizabeth Berger. Variances, subdivision of lot area exceeds number of stories, lot area occupied, front yard setback on Cedarhurst Avenue, Bayside Drive, side yard, construct 3-story dwelling and 2 AC units attached to dwelling, Lot A, special exception for proposed shed with shower attached thereto, higher and larger than permitted, exceeding horizontal maximum with more than required side and rear yard setbacks, and with lot area occupied variance, Lot A, southeast corner of Cedarhurst Avenue and Bayside Drive. We also have case 3425 Point Lookout, Edward and Elizabeth Berger. Variances, subdivision of lot area, maintained dwelling on a lesser lot, Lot B, demolish existing garage, also known as 6 Cedarhurst Avenue. You swear affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the true self you got?
I affirm.
Please take a seat, state your name and address for the record.
Good afternoon, members of the board. My name is Janice Whalen, W-H-E-L-A-N. I'm an attorney with offices at 23 Green Street, Suite 205, Huntington, New York, 11743. Today I appear on behalf of Mr. and Mrs. Berger, who coincidentally, just for the board's edification, have been homeowners since 2006. Mrs. Berger grew up on Freeport Avenue. She's got numerous relatives. My clients are very invested in the community. As Mr. Owens indicated, we're seeking variances on 3 different applications. Most notably, we're seeking to subdivide a lot measuring 7,995 square feet, roughly in half, to create 2 lots, one measuring about 3,900 square feet, the other measuring 4,100 square feet. I hope everyone has a copy of the radius map, which I think is the best evidence in this case. I've done the research, and there are very many lots created by this board, both on Cedarhurst and Freeport Avenue. Most notably, immediately next door, we have a letter in the file in support of our request by the Leckler family, who are our immediate easterly neighbors on Freeport Avenue. Basically, I would think that this board is concerned with, out of all the variances sought, 2, one being the lot area, which I have significant precedent up and down Cedarhurst and Freeport Avenue. And secondly is the variance I'm seeking for the 3rd story, which I also have precedent for. Just so the board knows, we are not seeking in any way a height variance. We fully comply with the 41-foot. There's a very small portion of the proposed house that we'd like to turn into an office. And that is not going to be habitable space. It only measures about 376 square feet of the new house, which will measure about 1,400 square feet. So again, that portion of the property is admittedly a 3rd story, but it's not the entire footprint of the house. It's only less than a 1/3 of the house lot area. And again, we are not seeking a height variance. We fully comply with the 41 feet from the crown ridge of the road. I'm not sure why we're getting a special exception, but I would imagine that this board has seen very many outdoor showers in the Point Lookout area, and I believe that we would meet that special exception criteria. Another variance that was cited, I think it was 372H5. I'm not really sure what that has to do. I think that's a building standard variance, and that was cited in violation of the 3 stories. Basically, I'd be very curious to know what. Okay, I learned something. Thank you, Rebecca.
Thank you, Becky.
So, with regard to the second case, it's 33, that was for the outdoor shower. An interesting variance requires any shed to be no more than 2 feet from the front or side yard. We're actually set back further than that. So I think that variance, we're actually helping the streetscape on that neighborhood by not seeing that shed. The shed's a little bit higher, a little bit wider, and a little bit larger than is permitted by the code. The last case is case 34 to maintain.
Can you wait 1 second?
Sure.
I want to hear everything you have to say, but we're trying to find the plans.
his building permits? He did, 6 years. 6 years. The radius map? I have an extra one if you need it. Oh, I have extras of that too. Do you want the plot plan? What's that?
And it's
I
not that
can
easy.
read everything. if,
Okay, but wait,
okay.
so as it relates to the plans for the maintain, we found basement and first floor plan, but we don't seem to have elevations or anything else. Do you have an extra set for 34?
Let me see if I have those plans. I believe I do. May I approach? Whoops.
I did, thank you, thank you.
Well, I will say, I think, so between the materials that you provided and the extra, and thank you for the extra plans, also our resident expert, one of them, provided some online materials, so.
I apologize if there was any deficiency in our filing.
But, go ahead.
I'm
Go
just
ahead.
going to be very brief, and then I'll, of course, answer any questions from the board. I just want you to know, in addition to the variances that were identified by Mr. Owens, we do overly comply in other aspects. For the proposed house, we exceed the minimum front width. We have 60 and 63 feet on the two front yards, where 55 foot is the minimum. In the existing house, we have minimum front width of 65, where 55 is, a minimum 55 is required. We are under in lot coverage on the existing house. We only have 26.2%, where 27.5 is the maximum permitted. The minimum aggregate side yard permitted is 16.23. We have 30.2 feet on the existing house. And our rear yard is existing at 14.7 feet on the existing house. Our front yard is existing at 5.2. So those were not called out as variances because those were existing on the property. I have some.
Front yard average required.
Excuse me?
You gave us your front yard at 5.2, but what's the average?
I don't have the average, but I know that it's 25 required now. But that was what, that's what the zoning chart states.
No, it's not.
Corner lot, right. So I thank the Board of Appeals staff for lending me the computer, and I've got some really good precedent in the area. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to print everything out that's legible, so I'm going to read the case numbers into the record, and I ask that the record be left open so I could provide Mr. Owens with scans of these decisions if the board requires. My first precedent is immediately to the west of our property. It's 5 Freeport Avenue. This is case 266 of 2000. The Leckler family, who also wrote a letter in support. This board approved a single-family residence on a lot measuring 2,100 square feet. The second item is case 1054 of 1963. And I do have a copy of that case. This is on an undersized lot, and I believe that this lot measures 4,200 square feet. So it's more or less, comparable with what the lots that we are created. Again, it is case 1054. I believe it's on the west side of Freeport Avenue, and looking at the radius map, I believe that it is lots 25 and 26. It's right below the Leckler property. And again, that was created by this board in, I believe, 2000. The next precedent is case 64317. That's 18 Cedarhurst Avenue. And that case, interestingly enough, discussed the third story, like for a portion of the building, as we're proposing here. And case 64307 is on a 70 by 60 lot. So
The one you just did a minute ago, can you give me, I don't have the case numbers, and sometimes I don't have the addresses. So
No
the one
problem.
just before this one, can you just give me some other way to identify?
I believe it's 1054, 1963. And do you want me to show you where that property is on the radius?
How about just give me the name on the radius map?
I believe it is Stout, S-T-A-U-D-T, immediately south, south of Leckler. So.
Oh, no, Stout you already gave me, that was, I had that right before. What was the one after Stout you just did?
First was Leckler, second was Stout. Third is 64307, it's 18 Cedarhurst.
Right, that's the one. What's the name?
Actually, it's 135 feet north of Lido Boulevard. It might not be exactly on this radius, but I just wanted to pull cases that this board had created substandard, lesser lots. I have some other ones that I'll read into the record, but they're a little bit further away. They're higher numbers on Cedarhurst Avenue. So I know that the board would probably more consider the cases that I've mentioned, which are closer to Bayside Drive. I believe that, this board knows its standard. You're measuring my requests against whether the benefit could be achieved by other means that are feasible. Certainly, it doesn't appear fair that, this property owner would be required to maintain 8,000 square feet for a single-family residence when there's been certainly precedent in this neighborhood creating smaller lots that exceed the 2,100 square feet that we see. The requests are not all substantial, and they're really in keeping with the nature and character of the neighborhood. We don't believe that these requests will have any adverse physical or environmental impacts because there's other properties that exist with these zoning dimensions. And of course, these requests are self-created hardships, but that should not militate against a favorable finding on these variance requests. Does the board have any questions? That's all I have right now. I understand there's some neighbors here. I've spoken with them, and I'm happy to address whatever concerns they have.
Yes, I do. Okay, thank you. Steve Pepe, 4 Belmore Avenue, Point Lookout, New York. We own the property across the street from the subject property, and we don't oppose the new house, but we do oppose the subdivision.
How does that work?
It's against, I'm sure the board is aware of it, that Town Code Section 307 states no subdivisions.
Board approved.
You got to realize now, I guess, that the property now in Point Lookout has become very valuable, and more people are coming in and subdividing the lots. 2 lots are worth approximately $1.5 million, and when you have 4 lots, you're up in excess of $3 million. We don't know if it's being done for profit or not.
What else would it be done for?
What was that, sir?
I said, what else? Why else would it be done, if not for profit? And I'm not saying that's a beneficial motivation.
Well, just about all the building that's going on now in Point Lookout is done for profit.
Of course.
That's what it's all about. So the only thing is, it's closing in. We own 4 lots across the street, and we wouldn't think of subdividing it.
Excuse me. It appears from the radius map that the ELP Trust has a 35-foot by a 60-foot lot. You say you have 4 more lots that you own?
We're across the street. The property is...
I see where you are.
The address of the property is 4 Belmore Avenue, but it runs through to Cedarhurst Street, which is in front of the subject property.
So you have the lot, your fronting on Belmore is 105 by 60, and then you have that little...
35 by 60 in the back.
There's a lot behind it.
I see. Okay.
Which faces the subject property.
this,
Now,
is all this.
we realize the code says what it says, otherwise they wouldn't be here.
Right.
What's most helpful for us, I get that you wouldn't consider subdividing yours, but what's most helpful for
That's
us,
his.
in addition to saying,
Didn't
I'm
look
really
like
against that subdivision, is to
Tell
tell
us
us
why.
how it would adversely affect you. Why are you against it, besides there's a profit motive?
Well,
Surely there is, but that's.
It's going to add another house to the neighborhood. It will add, it is congestion, the parking is limited in Point Lookout.
Well,
I
there's no
haven't-
on-street parking.
I haven't reviewed the plan to see how much parking is available. I didn't get a chance. I noticed that the notice was sent out on the 13th of December, and I'm not sure if it requires 30 days,
No, 10 to 20.
but I'm not sure if everybody was notified.
It's like a 29 to something window.
Well, I have the envelope, it was December 13th.
Well, we can certainly check the affidavits, but you got your notice. We'll check. If you think there's an issue of others getting the notice, we can certainly check that as an administrative issue. But as to parking, there's no parking in Point Lookout on the street.
That is
So,
correct.
so like everyone there, whatever parking we definitely look at whether or not, like if you ask to build a house on the entire lot without providing some means for parking, it's definitely an issue.
Yes, absolutely.
But short of that, if they're proposing a driveway of 2 slots for each house, it's up to them to fit their cars into that if we were inclined to approve it. So while, yes, you need to provide for your vehicles because there's no on-street parking, we don't have a formal count of spots. But they would obviously, it'd be their detriment if they built houses with nowhere to put their
No
cars.
parking.
You know, so tell us what other reasons, I get, you think it's crowding more
Well,
than it should be.
And it
we don't
is.
have sewers there, as you know.
Correct.
So the more houses that come in, the more cesspools, it's an environmental impact, and it's just, it's really getting bad in Point Lookout.
Getting?
I've been down there 40 years,
Getting there.
so,
Can I just ask counsel, do you have to, with this application, go through the process with engineering
does.
and water, whatever
I'm
it is?
certain, I'm working with Mr.
Of
Alweiss
it.
on this, so I'm certain there's going to be sanitary requirements that are met. And just to address,
Can you just, since you've started, describe the process that allows us to be sure that if we approved it, there would be adequate sewage, water, et cetera? Because I
you could
think
make that
there's.
a condition of the approval. We would absolutely, comply with
I'd
it.
rather you describe, like, you will, what did you have to do, what do you have to do, so we have it on the record.
I don't have Mr. Olweiss's details, and I apologize for not having that. If you would like to keep the record open, I could supplement with a writing that I would copy to Mr. Pepe, confirming to him what those sanitary details are.
Well, I just wanted to clarify that you do in fact have to comply.
Absolutely. As if this were in Suffolk, we'd be going to the Suffolk County Department of Health Services. I'm certain we would not get our final certification until we provided those sanitary details and the relevant approval. And just to satisfy the inquiry, we have 2 parking spots on site for the proposed house. For Lot A. There's 2 parking spots and a driveway, and they measure at least 18 feet long.
Is that the maintain or the construct?
That's the construct.
What about the maintain?
The maintain, I'm looking, I know that we took down the detached garage. I don't see a driveway here right now, but there's certainly adequate space, open space on this property to us. These people have lived in this neighborhood their whole life. They want to be good neighbors, as they have been good neighbors. They've got family in the neighborhood. They're not looking to, to create any disruption to this neighborhood that they've enjoyed their whole life.
Looking at the site plan, it looks like they're probably going to negotiate an easement, because that driveway that would hold, it actually looks like it would hold 3 cars.
It does look wide enough for 3, correct?
Because I don't see anywhere the other place has to make.
I don't see it there.
They have a fence and a fence, which, fence, grass, earth, though the fence may be to be removed. But either way, there's a 3 slot there, and I wouldn't be surprised if the idea is, does the if you remove that garage, does the maintain otherwise have a garage in the dwelling?
No, the detached garage, I believe, was on the lot we're seeking to create, and that is going to be removed.
Yeah, it doesn't look like a lot of, unless they get rid of the yard. It isn't clear where they would put the cars, but
I can absolutely supplement my testimony with a writing from Mr. Allweiss indicating the sanitary details and where a car would be parked on Lot B.
all right.
Well, other than that, I mean, it, it is what it is. If you grant it, you grant it. If you don't, you don't. But the situation is out of control right now. I'm a retired builder. I see what's going on, and I think it's horrible. They're all substandard lots to begin with. Town code prohibits it, as you know. So to keep giving relief to people, everybody's jumping on the bandwagon now, and they all want to subdivide their lots. So the more I know you have approved some in the past, maybe for hardship or whatever reason, I don't know. But these developers are coming in, and like I said, it's all being done for profit. Is it the right thing to do? In my opinion, no, but I'm just one person, so it's up to the board to do what they like. Thank you very much for
Pepe, just one point of
listening.
Mr. Pepe, one point of clarification. They were required to mail the notices to people within the 200-foot radius December 12th through December 19th. There are certified mail receipts here that it was in fact mailed. I just lost it.
He admitted his was post-dated. His was
17th,
dated
Mr.
the
Pellegrini.
17th, yes, and some on the 20th. So, no, 17th. They did receive it. There's a list attached. There's an affidavit signed by the person who mailed it. Do you know anybody that has not received it?
I don't know. That's why
Okay.
I can't say.
So they did in fact comply with our requirements to mail.
Okay.
It looks that way.
Thank you for checking.
Do you have anything else you'd like to add, Mr. Pepe?
No, that's it. I just wanted to voice my opinion.
Well,
Thank
thank
you
you
very
for
much for your
coming
time.
in. Thank you for voicing your opinion. Would you like to sum up?
I think there might be another gentleman.
Is there
who
anyone
wants to
else?
speak.
He didn't,
Sure.
he didn't indicate his
Okay,
position on the issue, but.
He passed.
he was interested.
That's it.
Go ahead.
I thank the board for its careful consideration. I will absolutely follow up with copies of those decisions, information on parking on the existing lot and the sanitary details, and I respectfully request that the board look favorably upon this application, which will enhance this corner of Cedarhurst Avenue and Bayview.
Enhance,
Bayside Drive.
enhance,
Thank you.
enhance. Stick another one. Okay. Any other questions from the board?
No, sir.
Not, do I have a motion?
Move that the hearing be closed, the matter be placed on the decision calendar. Pardon me. Everyone who signed in on the case will receive a copy of the board's decision by mail once it's rendered.
Second?
Thank you.
All in favor? Any opposed?
Next, we have cases 3525 through 3625, Garden City East, R&F Garden City LLC. Replace one double-face illuminated detached pylon sign, overall size 320 square feet, 160 square feet per face, overall height 23 feet, setback 7 feet from Old Country Road. Install a second double-face illuminated detached pylon sign, overall size 320 square feet, 160 square feet per face, overall height 23 feet, setback 13 feet from East Gate Boulevard, also known as 895 East Gate Boulevard.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. William Benesso for Chelly Deegan Tirana, 333 Earl Ovington Boulevard, Uniondale, New York, here on behalf of the applicant, R&F Garden City LLC. Seated to my right is Mr. Trevor Edkins with R&F Garden City LLC, a representative of the property owner. This is a request, as noted by Secretary to the Board, for relief, variance relief to permit the installation of 2 new signs in an existing shopping center located at 895 Eastgate Boulevard in the unincorporated portion of Garden City. It's an existing center that's been around for a while. It's a former Levitt's furniture store and Bye Bye Baby site, which is situated, it has frontage on Old Country Road and then also on Eastgate Boulevard. The site is now occupied by a Raymore and Flanagan in the northerly portion of the building, the furniture store portion of the building, and the southerly portion of the building, all but about 12,000 square feet of it, is now occupied by a Hobby Lobby retail store. There is the potential for further occupation of that 12,000 square feet by another tenant. That tenant is as of yet unidentified. There's also the possibility that a pad site may be proposed for the property, which would add yet another tenant. So certainly there are 2 tenants now. There are likely to be 3 and perhaps even 4 tenants on the site. And the applicant is seeking to update the signage for the property. Right now, there is only 1 sign. Actually, let me first submit. I have a photo array that I've prepared for the board. And I'd ask the board to accept that into evidence. The cover page of the photo array shows an aerial photograph of the site and the location of the 2 proposed signs. And then it also it also identifies where there are 5 other signs that are the closest to this site that are of a similar character in terms of height and size and location, as you would find based upon the request that's being made. I should say the second page of the photo array is a photo of the existing sign that is on the premises on the Old Country Road side of the property. It's on the small side, certainly. It is only 7 feet from the property line, the front property line on Old Country Road. We are asking to build the new sign in the same location, so it'll still be 7 feet from the property line, so it's in keeping with the existing sign location.
And that sign, that existing sign was approved by this board?
I don't know that sign was, because I don't believe it exceeds the size permitted.
Well, the setback would not be.
The setback would not be, you're
Right.
correct, I apologize. But the sign itself, I think, is compliant. But yes, it was previously approved by this board.
Okay,
Yes.
at that same location and,
Correct,
okay.
correct. As noted.
The main thing is it'll be set back that far, right?
I'm sorry?
The main thing is it will be set back.
Yes, it will not be any closer than that sign is to the front, to the Old Country Road frontage. The other sign location, if you look at the 4th page and the 5th page, the other proposed sign location is on Eastgate Boulevard. It is I guess it's the southeast corner of the overall shopping center property. It's at the entrance off of Eastgate Boulevard for the site, and that sign will be 13 feet from the front property line on Eastgate Boulevard. 20 feet is required for both. As you know, we already have 7 feet on Old Country Road. We will have 13 feet. And the location of neither sign will interfere with vehicles exiting the premises or entering the premises in their sight lines. As you can see from the site plan, the signs proposed are pylon signs. They are on 2 piers, basically, with an open space below that is fully compliant with the town's distance from grade to the bottom of the sign. The 7-foot requirement is met.
Is this sign are these signs already been, the location already been approved by this board?
Only the sign on Old Country Road.
Okay.
There is no sign presently on Eastgate Boulevard. So we're asking for new relief in terms of location for Eastgate Boulevard, and we're asking to maintain the setback for the sign on Old Country Road, albeit both signs will be bigger. Both signs are oversized from the standpoint of the code, but certainly not out of character in the neighborhood, as you'll see from the following photos. But right now, as the board is well aware, the sign requirements are 15-foot maximum height and 32 feet per side square footage in terms of signage. We are proposing a maximum height of 23 feet, and our sign area is 160 feet per side for each of the signs. And that is a sign that, as much as it's oversized, it's not out of character with the signage in the area. Old Country Road is one of the largest commercial corridors in Nassau County, and particularly the town of Hempstead. And if you take a look at the photos that I've provided, signs 1 through 5, sign 1 is situated on Eastgate Boulevard. It is approximately 30 feet tall. I did the gallery at Westbury applications for them. Those signs required variances both for location and size and height. That is a far greater size sign than what we're proposing. If you look at sign 2, that is that's for the Whole Foods and the vet shop just to the south of our property. Again, higher than permitted, larger than permitted. Sign 3, the Wendy's, is higher than permitted and a little bit larger than permitted.
But
Sign-
your new sign, sorry, your old sign, it doesn't seem to create a safety issue. The new proposed sign, you put it on the side that wouldn't block people pulling out.
Correct.
Nor turning in, and the property adjacent to it, which, you know, if they had a driveway right near it, we would have to think about, can you see?
Right, and they don't.
There's no driveway.
No, there is not. That side, and being set back 13 feet also gives a lot of clearance for sight lines exiting and entering the driveway. Sign 4 may be the biggest sign I've ever gotten approved. It's about 40 feet high and about well over 200 square feet per side. Again, that's for a large shopping center. Our shopping center is on the large side, not as big as the gallery at Westbury. But and I've made this argument before, what the zoning code relating to signs really doesn't take into account is that you can have a single lot with a single commercial user on it, and it could be, 1,500, or it could be 2,000 square feet in size, and it is permitted the same size sign as the gallery at Westbury. So the code doesn't take into account that with larger size lots and larger shopping centers, that it may be appropriate to permit larger signs. But the zoning board has always addressed that appropriately by granting the variances that are needed, and that's what's being requested here. The 5th sign provided is across Old Country Road in a small strip center, higher than permitted, and in fact, that one, the clearance area below it is actually compromised. Our sign will have full clearance, the fully appropriate clearance below the sign. Yes, it is 8 feet taller than permitted, but again, not out of character with signs in the area. And the size will permit the various tenants in the site, whether there be 3 or 4. Raymore and Flanagan would certainly take the number 1 position. Hobby Lobby will take the number 2 position. If there's only another tenant, then they'll take the number 3 position. If it turns out that there's 2 more tenants with a pad site, we'll have to come back to this board for a parking variance. But in any event, that would permit the 3rd section to be split between those other two tenants.
How about illumination?
They will be illuminated, interior illumination, and they'll comply with all conditions that the board typically imposes on signs, including the temporary approval.
And There'll be no animated,
No animated signs, no moving, flashing signage, steady, soft illuminated lighting.
thank you.
Mr. Vanessa,
Yes,
who was the traffic expert on the Avis property?
I believe that was Mr. Muller, who
I don't think so. Was someone that,
The
I thought he
traffic
was really good, and I,
Mr. Muller is
Was it you, Mr. Muller?
acknowledging that he performed that service.
including when there was the parking garage proposed in the back and the different exits, that was you? You did a great job. I always remember the best traffic guy I ever remember was that Avis property, but that was long ago.
Is
That's
that
why I
the one
used
you
Mr. Muller.
objected to later because the configuration was changed?
There's a whole story.
Forget it. Did a great job on that one.
That's our direct presentation.
Is there anyone else who would like to be heard on this application? There are a lot of bodies, and it must be very important cases, the last two. Any other questions from the board? If not, do I have a motion?
Move the hearing be closed, the matter be placed on the decision calendar. Mr. Bonesso, you and everyone else who signed in on the case will receive a copy of the board's decision by mail once it's rendered.
Thank
you.
Happy New Year, everyone.
All
Happy
in
and healthy
favor?
New Year.
Aye.
Next, we have case 130125, Belmore, North Belmore Fire District. Special exception to construct one-story building in conjunction with existing firehouse located in Res B district with lot area occupied variance, side yards, and rear yard variances. Waive off-street parking, special exception to park in Res B district, and permission to park in front yard setback, also known as 815 Newbridge Road.
Two lawyers. Two lawyers for them. Impressive.
Good afternoon. My name is Andrew Mahoney. I'm a partner at Jaspin, Schlesinger, and Narendran. I'm the attorney for the applicant, North Belmore Fire District.
My name is Rachel Grotsky. I'm a project designer with H2M Architects and Engineers, located at 538 Broad Hollow Road, Melville, New York.
George Curran, Superintendent, North Belmore Fire District, 1500 Newbridge Road, North Belmore.
Good afternoon. The North Belmore Fire District owns a piece of vacant land located at 815 Newbridge Road in North Belmore. It's directly adjacent and north of the district's present Engine Rescue Company Number 2 and the chief's office building on Newbridge Road. The applicant submitted a building permit application, which was denied and required that the district obtain certain variances and a special use exception. Applicant seeks to gain approval for several variances as they relate to the construction of a new fire district storage building. The property where the facility will be located is 815 Newbridge Road, North Belmore. This facility is critical to the community for the following reasons. As the fire district has grown, space has become a problem. The fire district is required to own, maintain, and store various fleet vehicles. The structure to be built will provide much-needed space to keep the expensive equipment out of the harmful elements and safe from theft or vandalism. The building will also serve to store critical personal protective equipment, or PPE. Since COVID, the amount of PPE that is required to be on hand has increased significantly for the district. The requested variances relate to lot coverage, side yard and rear yard setbacks, front yard parking, and a special use permit. I submit that the granting of the requested variances will not cause an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood, as there's already an existing firehouse and maintenance facility located adjacent to the subject property. The benefit sought by the fire district cannot be achieved by some other feasible method, since the storage of the fire district's related equipment needs to be near the existing firehouse. As Ms. Grodsky from H2M will explain, the district's architect, the requested variances are not substantial in nature. The proposed variances will not have an adverse impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the surrounding area. The firehouse and the maintenance facility already exist on the adjacent properties, and the proposed use of the new property is consistent with the pre-existing firehouse and maintenance facility. This use was not self-created. The firehouse and maintenance facility were already located in this area. The firehouse requires additional equipment and storage facilities for this equipment at its current facility. At this point, I'd ask Ms. Grodzki to just briefly describe the site plan and the variances requested.
Yep. We're proposing to build a one-story building. It's going to have no windows. It's going to have 3 truck bays for storage of fire apparatus or any of the fleet with the fire district, and a single-user toilet room. We are seeking relief on the rear yard setback, where required is 15 feet, and we're looking to provide 10 feet. For building area, we are required 27.5%, where we are providing 28.1%. And for the side yards, we are required 20 feet, where we are looking to provide 16.12 feet and 10 feet. The overall size of the building is really geared based upon what they're storing inside the building, and if it got any smaller, they wouldn't be able to store their largest piece of fire apparatus. We're also seeking relief on parking in the front yard, since there is parking required, but there would be no alternate places to park on the lot. That would not interfere with trucks leaving the facility.
And Mr. Kern's available if the board has any questions for the district's proposed actual use of the new storage building.
Is there a reason?
Notice that it says you have gas pumps on the property, proposed gasoline dispensing.
There would not be gasoline dispensing.
It's what?
There would be no gasoline dispensing.
New concrete, the gas meter, I'm sorry. Okay.
Is there a reason? I see you own the property all the way down. And where those parking spots are proposed in the front yard setback, is there a reason you can't drive amongst the other? It looks like you're keeping a 4-foot fence there.
There's a pre-existing fence, right?
Yeah, we were looking to maintain the existing fence.
Right. Is there a reason that you wouldn't want to drive between them? I mean, there may be,
Essentially, I think that would be a district decision on if they wanted to, you're saying remove that fence and be able to park on their other lots going into that lot?
Well, I'm not even I wouldn't have guessed that that would be the configuration, that you'd keep a fence with all the other lots, like I would think you'd want to move them between them, but I'm sure I was just curious.
We were looking to maintain parking close to the storage facility. If someone is coming in their own personal vehicle, they could get in. If they have to bring another vehicle out of the building to maintenance or to a different district facility, they have close parking. Because there are active fire stations next door, we wouldn't encourage people to walk across the sidewalk where they could be responding, and it causes a safety issue.
I mean, I wasn't opining about the spots themselves. I was just surprised that you wouldn't want the freedom to go from lot to lot, that you want to keep a fence. That's the only reason I was asking.
I think conceptually, there's a difference between the firehouse itself and the use of the firehouse as an emergency use, and this property, which is a storage use.
I got you. No, that makes sense. And now I got you. I understand now.
And for what it's worth, as a fire department, I think as the board's aware, there's a qualified immunity issue for the fire department. But as I understand it, it's the board's practice to just consider the variance application on its face. But I just recognize that the district may be entitled to a certain immunity from variance requirements.
Yeah, I mean, you're correct in all you said. That's why you guys didn't bring the appeal of the determination or the qualified immunity, right?
Right.
That concludes your case.
That concludes the case.
Okay. Any other questions for the board?
You know, I don't know whether, I was reading, perhaps I didn't hear it. You're required to have 6 parking spaces. You provide 6, however, those 6 are in the front yard setback, which are not recognized as legitimate quote-unquote spaces.
Yeah, so we are required to provide 6, and they're not counted as acceptable spaces because they are in that front yard setback, and the one that is outside of the setback is a handicap spot.
Very good, thank you.
And they're in Res B.
Yep. Thank you. Any other
Thank you for your
questions?
consideration.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
motion.
Move the hearing be closed, the matter be placed on the decision calendar. Everyone who signed in on the case will receive a copy of the board's decision by mail once it's rendered. Happy, healthy New Year to
Second.
everyone here.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Pardon?
Finally, we have cases 53124 through 53224, Merrick, 60 Merrick Avenue, LLC, doing business as Rico's Pizza. Waive off-street parking, interior alterations to restaurant to be maintained, special exception to use part of premises for outdoor dining. Variance, rear yard, maintain roof over, waive off-street parking, also known as 60 through 68 Merrick Avenue.
What the hell is this?
For the record, Wayne Muller, Robinson and Muller Engineering, offices at 50 Elm Street, Huntington, New York.
Thomas McKevitt, San Ward Braff Cascignano, 333 Earl Overton Boulevard, Uniondale, New York, 11553.
Ken Gibbons, 61 Belmore, New York, one of the owners of Rico's Pizza.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman.
Good afternoon, Mr. McKevitt.
It's-
Evening begins in about 15 minutes, I think.
I looked at it, it said 4:44 on the app, so I double-checked, so. I represent Rico's Pizza in this matter. Case 531 is for variance to off-street parking. Case 532 is for a special exception for outdoor dining and variance to maintain a roof over patio with a de minimis rear yard. As mentioned, the subject premises is 60 Merrick Avenue, known as Section 56, Block 157, Lot 24, on the land tax map of Nassau County. The property is located in the Business X zone of the town of Hempstead. The building was constructed in 1952, before there was an off-street parking requirement. In 1983, there was an application before this board in case number 77, when it was a then drugstore, for variance in off-street parking. At that time, 29 spaces were required when none were provided. The property is 55 feet by 130 feet, which comes out to 7,150 feet of square foot property. The property is actually divided into two portions. The front of Merrick Avenue is actually Amazing Discounts, which is a discount store, essentially, paper goods items, and that's just a little bit over 3,000 square feet. On the rear side, and really the rear is really the front in this instance, is Rico's Pizza of 2,873 square feet with the 223-foot outdoor dining area. So again, even though the address is Merrick Avenue, it's really part of the Merrick Mall. So the Merrick Mall is where you have the Stop and Shop, the CVS, you have, an eyeglass place, and, to the south, they have a law office and a couple office buildings and some mixed martial arts along those lines. There's also a Carvel liquor store. So your basic generic strip mall with a bunch of different uses. And again, because although technically we have 0 spaces, we border on town of Hempstead Lot M6, which has 111 spaces. So again, even though in actuality we have spaces.
Which has 100?
111 spaces is in Lot M6, which again is the lot between that Stop and Shop and our property and the Outback Steakhouse. Well, Outback has their own little parking on their own private lot by the northern portion of the Merrick Mall. Just to mention, we are required to have a rear yard of 10 feet. With the enclosure we have there, we are only providing 0.10 feet. But again, when you look at it, it's not like you're in a rear yard with backyard neighbors. It's really the fronting onto that lot. Again, I gave you photographs, which I took last Thursday at the site. But if you look at, again, photograph number 1, that's from lot M6. All those spaces right there. And if you notice, the second and third pictures are the interior of the premises. Rico's Pizza originally started here in Levittown a little over 4 years ago. They've been at this Merrick location for a year and a half. It's a very specialized thin crust pizza. Essentially, all they sell is the thin crust pizza, some salads, some wings. They actually have a hot oil pizza, which is my son's favorite. My tongue cannot, it's a very hot, spicy pizza. There's a jalapeno in the middle. My son devours it. I can't touch it. I have the margarita. That's all I can tolerate. So that's why I leave at that point. But again, their situation in Levittown is very similar to this, where they're located, just a little bit east of St. Bernard's Church, where they have no on-street parking, and again, they have a small town of Hempstead lot in the rear. So again, it's a very similar situation of it. And it's a family-friendly place. It's a pizza place. According to my children, the 4 food groups are protein, dairy, pizza, and chicken nuggets. All right, so you'll have a lot of children there, and they do a lot of sports events, a lot of the youth. So again, but it's just a pizza place is what it really comes down to. They're open Sundays through Thursday from 11:30 a.m. to 10 p.m., and on Fridays and Saturdays from 11:30 a.m. to 11 p.m.
Are you going to propose that as a limited hours of operation, or just matter of fact, this is what we do?
It's their operation, but they really have no desire to work beyond those hours. That's what they are in the community, so those are their operating hours. I don't think we contemplate any change in it. No, they're not going to change from those hours.
You're not necessarily offering it as a condition?
We'll offer it as a condition. We'll offer it, because again, it's, we have no problem, because that's the late hour. We're not going to doing a late night or anything like that.
What about the next guy?
Well, the next guy can then rehire me, and then I'll bring a new case.
I know, I was just going to say, unless it's necessary, I don't
I'm just saying,
that-
we don't tend to change it, but that's the general operation. For the most part, they
Yeah,
have.
but if you're going to, let's say you want to sell it, I mean.
Yeah, well, whatever. So, we have, for the most part, we have 3 employees. During the busier times on Friday and Saturday nights, it will be up to 8 employees. And that's really when the place is busy. Again, when you go there for the most time, during the days and nights, it's relatively quiet. And it's typical Friday and Saturdays when the
They
busy
serve
times.
alcohol?
Yes, they do.
He said he has margaritas.
Yes. No, I do not touch the margaritas. But if you look at picture number 2, right, you see the bar is on the left-hand side. There's a bar at that point.
It's got a nice look.
It's a very nice look. And again, my family's been there many, many times, especially, when they opened up right after the pandemic in Levittown. It becomes a frequent place. It's very family-friendly. So,
There is one just like this in Levittown?
yes. Yep, exactly. Again, right near St. Bernard's Church, across from the, the Tri-County Flea Market,
Yes.
across that point. It's there at the corner. When I was growing up, it was the Bunnery.
Okay.
Remember the Bunnery? Yeah, the Bunnery. That's the location they're in today. That's where they're at, in that space. Right next to the tattoo parlor and the Harley-Davidson store and the trophy place. It's that building. And they've been there for 4 years. And again, same configuration. There's no off-street parking they have. There's streets there by the marginal road of Hempstead Turnpike, and they have the lot in the back is where they're at. So, and again, they do have a small amount of takeout as well. I do have Wayne Muller here on behalf of R&M Engineering to testify on behalf of a traffic and parking expert. And after, Mr. Chairman, your usual inquiry, I'd ask you once again qualify him as a traffic expert so he can do his presentation.
Mr. Muller, you've been qualified as a traffic and parking expert before this board on numerous occasions. Since the last time we qualified you as an expert, have any of your qualifications changed for the worse?
No,
Have they
not at all.
changed for the better?
I just keep getting older.
We will once again qualify you as a traffic and parking expert,
Thank you.
Thank you.
and you are free to testify.
Yes, for the record, we prepared a parking analysis that's dated December 5, 2024, which was previously submitted to the Board of Appeals office, and I believe put on the portal, and I brought extra copies before the board this evening, but as Mr. McKevitt indicated, it's proposed to, I guess, legalize the Rico's Pizza, which has been there for some time. The subject property shares its rear property line with the municipal parking field M-6, and that's essentially where all the people park who go to Rico's Pizza. As indicated in my report, we found no issues with the parking in that parking lot. There was always available spots during the peak hours, and as I testified before on the Sushi Co. application back in 2023, in which we observed the activity in the same parking field at that point in time, there still was available parking spaces within that lot. So it is my professional opinion that by granting this application, there'll be no substantive change to any of the parking or traffic conditions in this area as a result of the approval of this application. Thank you.
And just to mention, again, we do also have the outdoor seating area in the back. Again, that's in photograph number 3. It's only about 12 seats. Again, it's just for additional seats, make it open during the summertime. Obviously, right now it's closed because, as you can see, it's not insulated, no heating in there in that instance. But again, it's just, during these times, just try to have a couple extra seats, and it's nice to have it a little bit airier during the parking lot that time of year. Again, it's a very small roof-over enclosure at that point. No, I was not, Mr. Chairman. Okay.
See that little black awning right
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Got it.
just off of it? Oh, yeah. You can see right where it is.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to let Mr. Gibbons, who's the co-owner of the establishment, respond to these allegations, and he has some information which would be helpful.
Be my guest.
Hi. We showed up and there was, I think the town put some stuff down from the outbacks there and other than about the rat traps, they're saying, or the mouse traps.
Mhm.
And I'm there every morning about the debris. With this bar also next door to us, they're saying there's stuff, I clean up everything I do in the morning. I'm there at 6 o'clock in the morning. I clean up everything in front of our stores and other areas. I'm not sure where it's coming from. It's a big lot. Everything blows around. People walk by us all the time to say it was just us. Not saying it's not us, but we do clean up everything we possibly can that we do. We make a point of it.
Yeah, I mean, as Ms. Langmore indicates, I mean, it is a busy lot. There are a lot of uses over there, but there are other commercial uses. There's the Outback Steakhouse also near there. And again, I think as Mr. Muller's indicated, there's not a parking issue there. I've gone there several times myself. I check it out. There's always ample spaces. And again, he's endeavoring to do a good neighbor. Listen, you have to have a good, clean place, especially if you've got children in a place like that. These people are going to try and make a good thing out of it. And again, he'll just clean up himself. But, again, you can't maybe some people from his place, but we're just saying maybe others, and they keep a clean establishment.
Mr. McKevitt, aside from the issues of, the rats and the garbage and do you want to speak for a moment to the 18 delivery trucks, the tractor trailers?
Bet he doesn't.
The allegation is that they don't have any way to maneuver.
Not one driver ever said any problems that they
Do
had.
do you get deliveries by tractor trailer?
Not the 18-wheelers. We have a Cisco truck. We get it twice a week.
It's a box truck.
Yes,
Box
they
truck.
get there at 4 o'clock in the morning. There's no traffic there at all. We never get a delivery. There might be a liquor delivery with a small truck during the day once in a while, but all of our food, big truck, if it is a big truck, will come when no cars are in that lot. We have a key to us. They put it in our kitchen, in our refrigerators. We come in and then we check it out. It's already
Good,
done
that's
before we
what-
get there.
I just wanted you to have,
One.
to state that on the record.
Right, yeah, I mean, a place like them are not going to have the 18-wheelers. Now, the Stop and Shop and the CVS will, but not him.
Mention is made in the Stop and Shop, too.
Yeah. That is my case, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions from the board? No, sir. If not, do I have a motion?
Move the hearing be closed, the matter be placed on the decision calendar. Mr. McKevitt, Mr. Mueller, and your client, and everyone else who signed in on the case, receive a copy of the board's decision by mail once it's rendered. Happy, healthy New Year.
You too. Thank you very much.
All in favor?
Aye.
After having been seconded by? That concludes the cases.
Go home and take a nap.
We will now take a 5-minute break and deliberate.
Thanks, Becky. two extensions of time. The, one is to secure a building permit is granted by the board 7/24/24. It's a dwelling,
It's recent and they secure.
yes. And then, yes, it is. And then there's an,
Basis.
can't start construction until spring, because it's very cold out. Then there's another one, it's Yeshiva Nimis Hotora? I don't know. It's at 80, it's a temple, yeshiva, a yeshiva, and,
Is it one of the ones with trailers?
no, it's in Inwood. No, I spoke to Mark already. It is a timely, I think they need more time. They have contracted delays. I think we should grant them 1-year extension of time. However, maybe Christina could ask them to make their front a little bit more presentable,
Wait. Oh, to complete.
but
So
not,
long ago, we're the ones who said.
no,
we can
not a
take
letter, just a
pictures
phone call.
if it's complete construction.
Just,
See why we started out a couple years ago? We
Yeah,
said
just to-
photos if it's complete construction.
Sure, I'll reach out to the applicant and the architect.
yeah, just a little,
Well, what do we want them to do?
We're gonna grant-
It's not particularly messy.
we're going to grant them extension of
It's
time and
properly
just,
enclosed.
okay,
No,
don't
but
do
let's be
anything.
clear on what you want them to do, Joe.
Looks like a mess.
Aye. We're going to revisit case 16 of 25, Joshua West Hempstead, Joshua Goldgrab, and Ricky Marcus. Do I have any discussion?
They submitted the plot plan and, with the shed, and I would move that we grant the case with the amended plot plan.
And the porch is not to be enclosed, and the applicant to confirm, yeah,
I
porch
meant to
not
say
to be
that.
enclosed. And the applicant did confirm, right? And he amended the
He
plot
did,
plan.
he did. He
Amended the
submitted an
plot
amended
plan.
plot plan with showing the,
Okay.
So we'll make sure we reconcile.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, let's go to the afternoon cases. All right, case 21 of 2025, Lido Beach, Deborah and Elliot Cosgrove. Certain board members would like to inspect that, so we're going to hold it. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Cases 22 and 23 of 2025, Seaford, Joseph Tuffarelli. That case has been adjourned to March 5th, 2025 at 11 a.m. Cases 24, 25, and 26 of 2025, Belmore, Michael and Maria Vogelsang, trustees of the Michael and Maria Vogelsang Trust. Property address is 2065 Bergen Street in Belmore. Do I have any discussion? If not, do I have a motion?
I make a motion, file number 24 of 25, file number 26 of 25.
And 25 of 25.
B, variances, side yard, construct second floor addition dwelling with side yard variance for 2 proposed AC units to dwelling, variance lot occupied, maintain attached dwelling and surrounding pool, special exemption to convert detached garage to home gym. No plumbing in that garage with conditions granted, be granted as with the condition.
Second. All in favor? Any opposed, any abstentions? Cases 27 and 28 of 2025, Franklin Square, Darius Zeich. Property address is 942 Van Buren Avenue in Franklin Square.
I have no issue with that.
I make a motion on case 27 to 28 of 25 in Franklin Square, Darius Zeich, at 942 Van Buren Avenue be approved as requested.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Cases 29 and 30 of 2025, East Atlantic Beach, that's Roslyn Center, who was very nervous, and Mr. Pellegrini made a nice comment to calm her down. Do I have any comments? If not, do I have a motion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I move as it relates to cases 29 and 30, 2025, the properties at 28 Malone Avenue, that the requested relief be granted. I don't think we need to do the 4-foot wall and gate in the front yard. Should we, I guess we should do the 4-foot masonry wall and gate in the front temporary, because if it, if you were to sell it, someone
Yep.
replaces it with 6 foot. Otherwise, I move that we grant the relief.
Second. All in favor?
Second.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Case 31 of 2025, Wantar. Laura Chu and Todd Summers, property address is 2419 Riverside Drive. We're going to hold that. We're going to hold that pending the issuance or non-issuance of a state variance. Cases 32 through and 33 of 2025, Point Lookout. Point Lookout. That's the property address is, you want to hold that? Okay, hold that bad boy. That, and also 32, 33, and 34. Hold them both. Hold them all. Cases 35 and 36 of 2025, Garden City East, R&F Garden City LLC. Property address is 3895 Eastgate Boulevard. That's a sign case. Any comments?
I would move that-
Conditions, sign conditions, and no animation. Correct? Anything else you'd like to add? Temporary?
Yes, well
Somebody
said,
make the
and I
motion?
incorporate your comments as my motion.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Second, all in favor? Any opposed, any abstentions? I think we should deny the next case, not
Yeah.
really. Case 13-1 of 2025, Belmore, North Belmore Fire Department. We need a CEQA determination. Would someone like to make a CEQA determination? Mrs. D'Amato?
Yes. As it relates to case 1301 of 2025, that is the case of the North Belmore Fire District located at 815 Newbridge Road in Belmore. Mr. Chairman, I move based on the materials in the file of the review done by other members of the zoning board and the testimony taken at the hearing and the exhibits provided therein, that we make a negative declaration as to the CEQA determination.
Second. All in favor? Any opposed?
I further move, Mr. Chairman, that we grant the relief requested in that same case, 1301 of 2025.
Second. All in favor? Any opposed? Next cases are 531 of 24 and 532 of 24. Merrick, 60 Merrick Avenue LLC, DBA Rico's Pizza. We need a CEQA determination? Are you kidding? Pardon? Okay.
Well, Mr. Chairman, I would move as it relates to case 531 and 532 of 2024 in Merrick, the properties, it's from 60 to 68 on Merrick Avenue. It's the case of this 60 Merrick Avenue LLC, doing business as Rico's Pizza, that based on the materials in the file, the other BZA review in the office, the testimony at the hearing, and the exhibits provided at the hearing, that the board adopt a negative declaration as to the secret determination.
Second. All in favor?
I would further move, Mr. Chairman, as it relates to the same matter, that the board grant the relief requested.
Second. All in favor? Any opposed? Anything else before we close? 5:15.
Tell Bruce you're welcome. You said you.
Who were the bodyguards? Did you find out who the bodyguards were?
So I need 30.
I'll be there by 6. Yeah, but I'm not.
Where are you going, JR?
Union.
Oh.
I have to call my wife.
Well, I need that. I have.
Well, let's see, I'm wondering if I,
No, that's the ones that we didn't have. Well, you're gonna have to check because we didn't have them. That's what she did.
I bet you they are uploaded somewhere. I bet you they are. I mean, they're just